Welcome everyone. In this video we'll be showing a short demo of mainframe and security, including multi-factor authentication. My name is Mangus. I'm a product marketing manager here at Microfocus. We're joined by Mackes, a senior systems engineer, and Barbra Ballard, a senior product manager. Barbara's going to give us a little overview of security in the mainframe, and then Mackes will be giving us a demonstration. I'll go ahead and give it over to Barbara.
So when I talk to mainframe organizations, they're really having challenges around a few different things. First up is breaches, right? I just can't believe how many of those are coming out all the time. And while it's not defined if they have a mainframe or not, the mainframe is just another resource that can be breached. So we need to treat it just the same. So what we're really talking about here is reducing access to that sensitive data and making sure that the only people that can get access to it are people that prove their identity through strong authentication and that they are authorized in your organization because they have a need to access that information to do their job. And that really goes hand in hand with regulatory compliance, right? That's really what the regulatory compliance is set up to help you make sure that you're putting in the controls that do just that. I know it feels like a bit of an overhead, but it really is done from the right place and making sure that the right controls are in place to secure sensitive data. With a mainframe in your organization, that means securing the host access. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you think about host access today, you think about a terminal emulator that's launched and they put in an IP address and a port, and maybe it's TLS, maybe it's not, and boom, there's a green screen, right? And the only thing that's stopping them from getting to that valuable sensitive data could be an 8-character case-insensitive password. Just not good enough anymore, folks. We need to be able to make sure that we're actually securing that host access in the same way we're securing any other access to sensitive data in your environment. Last but not least is this consistency across the enterprise. And what I mean by that is being able to use tools in the enterprise and the same tool for the host, being able to use consistent technology, right, or encryption methodologies. Everything should be applicable to all resources in your organization, and that includes the mainframe. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of these solutions. The first solution I want to talk about is Host Access Management and Security Server. We call it MSS, by the way. This is a mid-tier server that sits between your clients that are accessing the host and your host itself. And traditionally, when you open a 3270 connection to a mainframe, you get an emulator, might be mine, might be somebody else's. You supply an IP address, a port, and maybe the encryption level, maybe not, and boom, there you are at a login screen. And the only thing that's preventing you from getting to sensitive data is that 8-character case-insensitive password. Yes, folks, people still use that to log into the mainframe. Okay, that's why we introduced this product. So this product sits between that client and that mainframe. The first thing it does is make sure that you are who you say you are through strong authentication, through your enterprise credentials. It attaches to your IAM in a read-only format to make sure that you are who you say you are. Could be LDAP, could be SAML, right? Think about that. That's great. It's what you're already using today. Secret sauce? It also could be our Microfocus Advanced Multi-Factor Authentication Platform, but that is a really cool way to be able to provide multi-factor authentication in the enterprise as well as leverage that authenticating process here with MSS. So we make sure you are who you say you are. We also look you up in your directory to make sure that you're authorized to get to the mainframe, just like you're authorized to get to any other valuable resource in the organization. And then, and only then, will we issue a session. Okay, now let's talk about the next solution. Microfocus Advanced Authentication. So we do business, we grow our business through mergers and acquisition. And we were really grateful for a merger that we did with a small company that provided multi-factor authentication. You can look at all of these different authenticating factors, all the things that you would expect to find in an enterprise authentication tool today. But here's the secret sauce. We now have a ZOS connector that allows you not only to use those authenticating factors in your enterprise, but to use those authenticating factors against the mainframe. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. We're going to move to a demo. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mackes.
In this demonstration, I'm going to show you the end user experience when logging on to the mainframe using Reflection Desktop, administered by the Management and Security Server with the authentication method set to Microfocus Advanced Authentication. The first thing we need to do as an end user is log on to the self-enrollment site. I'm going to log on with my LDAP credentials, set my password. You can see right here the authenticators that I'm currently enrolled in. By default, I'm enrolled in the LDAP password. Down here you'll see a bunch of other authenticators that I can use. These ones have been assigned to me by the administrator. Microfocus has some 40-odd authenticators that could appear here, but these are just the ones that I've been assigned to use for authentication. For this demonstration, I'm going to need to use the LDAP password authenticator and the smartphone. So let's enroll in the smartphone authenticator and click Save. You'll notice it'll present a QR code. On the right-hand side of my screen, you can see my cell phone. I'm going to go into the application on my cell phone and log in. And once I'm in there, I'm going to hit the plus. And the camera's going to come up and scan the QR code. Once it does that, it just asks me to give it a name. So I'm going to give it a quick name and click Save. Now I'm enrolled in the smartphone authenticator, but let's make sure that it works correctly. So I'm going to go back into it and click the test button. And you should see on my phone on the right, it should prompt me to accept. And it does. So I'm going to click Accept. And now I know we're good to go. We have all the authenticators that are going to be required for this demonstration. Let's go ahead and minimize this. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a Reflection desktop session that's being administered by the management and security server. So we click on it, you'll see that it contacts the server, and then it presents me with a authentication panel. I'm going to change the user since I'm working remotely at home. It's picking up my machine name, and I want to remove that and just use my LDAP username. And change that. It prompts me for my LDAP password, so I'm going to go ahead and log that in, type that in. Now I'm going to fat finger that. And you see immediately it comes back with incorrect password. So if I don't pass all the authenticators that are required to open up the frame, I'm never going to be able to get a session. So it keeps me from logging onto the mainframe without authenticating. So let's do that correctly. There we go. And now it's going to prompt my phone, or on the right we should see it come up and say accept. There it is. So we're going to accept that. It should now pull down the session, make sure it's valid, launch it, and then connect me up to the mainframe. And there we go. So that was a session under control from the management and security server. So let's take this a little step further, and let's use the automatic sign-on for mainframe option for the management and security server. And what's going to happen here when I open up the frame, it's going to connect back up to the management server, and you'll notice that it's going to actually pull my user credentials, mainframe user credentials, from MSS, populate them into the screen. It's also going to get me a one-time pass ticket, and use that to log me onto the mainframe. So if somebody actually captured that username and password, they couldn't use it because it's only a one-time password. So it's very secure. All right, so we can even take this a little further and actually put multi-factor authentication on the mainframe itself. So this session we're going to open up. Again, I don't have to re-authenticate to the reflection frame. It knows I'm already authenticated, so it's going to connect me up. And once I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and log on to the mainframe with my credentials here. We're going to go into TSO on this machine. I'm going to type in my credentials here. When I do so, you'll see that the mainframe itself now, using the connector for ZOS, is going to prompt me for my cell phone authentication. I'm going to click Accept, and it'll let me into the mainframe and into TSO. There we go. And so that's a very quick demo of Reflection Desktop being administered by the management and security server with the authentication method set to Microfocus Advanced Authentication. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Great demo. And thank you to Barbara for the information presented about security in the mainframe. And thank you to all those who viewed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information there is on the screen. Or you can visit us at microfocus.com. Thanks again.